Good evening, everyone. I'd like to welcome you all to the Douglas Conservation Commission meeting for Monday, June 4th, 2018, at 7 o'clock p.m. First, we have a public meeting continuation for Southeast Main Street, Dudley Pond, and the Blackstone Valley Beagle Club.
Yep, my apologies. Hi, we have the same ring. Hey, shut that guy right
What's
up.
that say?
Yeah. And could you state your name, please?
Jim Casino for the Beagle Club. I'd like to close the hearing, if possible. We can close the hearing. I don't know if we want to talk about renaming it.
No.
Brown. We don't want to rename it to Brown.
After she's gone?
Sure, yeah.
In
That's like
memory
a
of?
thing. No! There's something for it.
Oh. Yeah, because I think there was, the reason why we were continuing
Confused,
it.
yeah. I thought it was closed
Was
when we,
Well, you know, when I was here, I think I said we weren't really exactly sure what our status was, and then we had the other request for the negative request for determination, so we did some of the work, and so this particular one was the one that we filed after that we're going to.
Okay, because the last time we met, they said Mr. Tessino will find out if the scope of work needs to be expanded. That's why we.
So at some
continued.
point, they'll probably be at some point in the future, they'll probably be filing a notice of intent of some type. But they're going through their process of their updated inspection, and then their attempt to get out of the high hazard classification after the inspection. And so the two choices hypothetically for them would be get out of the high hazard class or to propose breaching the dam. And that's probably when either they're going to stay as a dam and move forward, or they're going to breach the dam, and that's when they would file for their notice of intent to be. But I don't know how long, I mean, I was there to do one particular thing that we volunteered for, so my particular thing is done. They do wanna rip wrap, some of those one edges and fix the plantable soil, but they wanna get by their fish and derby. And they do, it's all volunteer, so they raise money, they have different fundraisers, and then they spend the money on some of those things. So that'll probably happen over the next several months,
Okay.
after the fish and derby, whenever that is. The renaming of the pond will probably be sometime in.
The ceremony.
I like Dudley
ceremony.
Pond.
uh,
Okay, so, do you have any more questions, board?
No.
Anybody in the audience have any questions? Steve, you all set?
Yep.
Okay, so,
No
motion to
motion.
close?
It's a public meeting.
Oh, yeah, that's
There's
right.
nothing to do.
Okay, so.
Perfect,
End it
thank you.
there, we won't
Thanks.
continue
Thank
it. Thank you for coming in.
Oh, no,
Appreciate it.
I'm always working. Thank you.
Okay, let's see, it's not quite 7:10 yet. Is there a Becky Laramie here?
He's not here yet.
Not yet? Okay. So let's see. You wanna do number 1 then?
Sure.
So I'm going to recuse myself from this discussion because I'm in a butter.
Okay. Did you hear from the
Well,
person that lives there?
I did,
Okay.
finally, yesterday.
Uh-huh.
I went out there quite a few times, at least almost a dozen. He worked
12 times you went out there?
to try and catch him, because the Board of Health notice came back, the certified mailing came back, and I was afraid ours was gonna come back, and, I'm not sure if we got this wrong address. I know he works awful long hours,
Mm-hmm.
and so I finally got him yesterday, after midday. And, he was cordial, and he didn't know anything that he got anything Board of Health from us, and he said certainly, it's his yard and stuff, he'd pick that stuff up and move it, either by late yesterday or today.
Yeah.
And he says, feel free to come back and take a look at it, you couldn't come to this meeting, because, I gave him that copy of the notice and had him sign a second copy for myself for records.
Okay.
And, when I went out there today, he goes, I told him I'd come by before the meeting, take a look at it. When I went out today, he didn't move the stuff, but if there is a container
Dumpster.
to probably in his back of his driveway, so he's probably speculating that he probably thought, why move it twice?
Yeah.
So it looks like he had a container dropped off between when I saw him late yesterday from sometime today.
Okay.
And I'm speculating I can wait another meeting, go out and talk to him again, and I'm guessing that between relatively soon, he's gonna take the stuff and just move it once, put it right into the trash container, and then haul it off.
Okay.
So it's, when I went out and looked at it, it's a couple mattresses, an old veneer, dresser, maybe some plastic PVC piping, and a couple of tires.
Yeah, picture.
Nothing major. He was cordial, we talked to a little bit, he said, yep, no problem. He didn't, he wasn't, he was in Washington DC, when I went over Memorial Day weekend, he was gone all then, so.
Okay.
Talking to someone that, he works, he leaves early and comes late, so I'll try to get him sometime this week, if not, maybe on the weekend. If it's not done by then.
Give him 2 weeks, or?
Yeah.
Give him
That's
2
fine.
weeks,
I'll
and
give him
say,
next
in
meeting.
2 weeks, otherwise we
6/18.
start, counting fines per diem.
Okay, thank you.
That's my motion.
Okay. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Okay. So, we'll just make it official for that violation at 164 Perry Street. Give them additional 2 weeks to clean up the debris. You didn't
We
happen
need
to
to vote.
drive by, right?
Oh, wait, we
I
need to
live
vote on that.
next
She
door.
can't
Oh,
speak to
so
it.
all those in favor?
Aye. We need you, buddy.
It's, all you have to do is say aye.
Aye.
Yeah,
Well, I
we
mean,
seconded it,
It's
so I
under
assume you're.
discussion, but
Yeah,
for the
but if we make a
action.
motion.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So we're moving on?
Yeah.
Are we done with that? Okay.
Okay, you don't wanna say anything?
No,
No.
she should.
Okay.
All right, and we still got 4 minutes. DEP Appeal, 68 Woodland Road, did you take a look at that? Do y'all have a copy?
So I've never seen this, but
What do you mean you've never
the
seen an appeal?
request for departmental action fee transmittal form. So was there an actual appeal form along with this transmittal form? This is for the fee.
I'm not sure.
And they're requesting a superseding order, but they're actually requesting it to be denied. So this is for if you get denied as the applicant, right?
I'm not too sure what she submitted to, she gave us, but that's what Maria got.
There's an additional form, I believe, that actually says, this is the
Or-
transmittal form for the fee.
To appeal it.
Yeah, it's $120, single family house projects.
You mean
Is there
the
on the back?
explanation?
Yeah, there should be
There
in
is.
On the back of it?
Maria didn't make a copy of that?
There's some stuff on the back
That's it.
that
That's all I.
serves as, yeah, that's probably
Okay.
what.
Then we just wait to hear from the DEP.
You're right to hear from the DEP.
Yeah,
I
there'll be
mean,
a
They'll do a
hearing.
site walk and then
Yeah.
they'll go out and make a, shoot a carry decision.
and then it'll have to be appealed from the bylaw. You'll have to go through that too,
Okay.
which goes
Okay.
to what court, Steve?
It's Worcester
Well,
Superior.
that's,
Superior?
it is.
Can't go to Uxbridge
No.
District.
Okay,
This is the
so
only
we
thing
just
that I
gotta
was
wait.
wondering,
Oh.
because this is, so you usually have your NOI, then you have your transmittal form that you separate and you send like the fee somewhere else.
Mhm.
So I didn't know if there was an additional form that they use to, cause this is going to the lockbox, the money box, this form and the check. And then something else usually goes to the
Mhm.
local, the central regional office, the local office in Worcester.
I would think. I can ask Maria if that's all she's got.
Yeah, I'm just curious. Doesn't happen every day.
All right, so is there a real appeal form?
Yeah, so it should be a request for departmental action in addition to this fee transmittal form. Should just say request for departmental action.
Oh, 10 past. Okay, so we have a public hearing for 44 Orange Street, Paul Chase.
Hi, folks. Lance Anderson from Allen Engineering. Since the last meeting, we went on a site walk Friday with
I went out
Steve.
today.
Okay.
Mhm.
And The commission asked,
Can you bring that up
Sure.
closer? Under the light, there you go.
we, under the commission's suggestion, we relocated the replication area so we won't have to damage any trees that was over in this area. We also made a note to the plan as to the timber, how the timber crossing. And we also needed to have a distance to the erosion control line from the wetland series D. And that's about all that's what was from the last meeting. Any questions? I'll hopefully answer them for you.
Any additional information for that perennial stream? Did you do
No.
any more?
Nope.
Streams, that's nothing, you're just thinking that, you're considering it perennial?
Yes, correct.
Okay.
Okay, board, have any more questions?
No.
Steve?
That's good.
And you do know a bond has to be posted for the
Yes,
replication?
yep, and we went over that when we were out there on the site walk with the potential buyer.
And the crossing.
Separate
Correct.
crossings, yeah.
Yep,
Two bonds. And that'll be in the conditions.
correct.
Okay, any special conditions you wanna add, or,
No.
okay. Anybody in the audience have any questions?
You're doing stockpiling outside?
Outside the buffer,
Yeah.
correct. Yep.
Okay. You don't have anything shown, but
No, we'll
it's
keep
kind of
it,
what we usually,
we'll
so
keep
that
it
it doesn't
outside
end up
the
in
buffer
the
zone.
stream.
Okay, looks
No
like a-
machinery.
outside the
parked,
buffer.
Yeah,
Yep.
machinery outside the buffer. Relatively quick construction on that crossing, right?
Yep.
So
Yep.
it's not gonna be needing more erosion control. I'll make a motion to issue the order of conditions for 44 Orange Street with the additional conditions of stockpiling outside the 100-foot buffer, as well as parking any machinery outside the 100 buffer at day's end,
And closing the public hearing.
and closing the public hearing.
Second.
How about the posting of the bonds? That needs to be added as a condition.
Doesn't
Why?
really need to, that's in our,
That's standard stuff.
that's in our, or it's in the standard
Post it, I can
paperwork.
add it as, if it's not in there, posting the bond for the crossing as well as for the
Because
replication
Maria will
area.
have to add
before-
that. She won't if we don't ask her to.
Okay.
Really, it's not standard.
No. No.
Cause not everybody has one, I guess.
Within 100 and machinery.
Yes, and amending my motion to include bonding for the
Two bonds.
crossing and bonding for the replication area before start of construction.
Second amendment. Thanks.
Right, motion been made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you, folks.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Have a good night.
You too.
Okay, well, now we got 5 more minutes. On to request for extension permit, request for certificate of compliance, Orbison Corp., 97 U Street. Steve?
Yeah, so, I got some photos here, the site looks good except for there's no, the grass hasn't really been established.
Oh. I,
Where is the
well,
grassy?
really, Ben, was that taken, like,
5 minutes ago?
yeah,
Sunday.
Can you zoom in on the dirt?
I mean, I
At
don't see
all?
any green.
There is none.
There's no way. No.
But you can take a look at everything else.
And just memorize it
Cute
till
trees.
next
There
time?
should be an as-built from, this is what, Seth LaJoy did this project, and then Yorka came in. And,
Okay.
Yeah, but, you
Oh,
know,
I see a
what's-
little grass right there.
Until it's established, though,
Yeah.
we're gonna need to revisit this, and at which point we're
2
gonna need
weeks.
to look at it then. So there's no reason for us to be redundant.
I
So,
figured you'd
okay.
say that, yeah. But I went out anyways. and-
Okay,
You're a good egg.
so it's a definite no.
Well,
No, not yet.
Not yet, yes.
Okay. Request for an extension permit for orders of conditions, guaranteed builders, developers. 37 Glen Street, lot number 1B, and there's another one, 2B. So what's the story with that, Steve?
I wanna recuse myself.
Okay, thank
Since we
you.
still stay at the table, I guess.
So it was this, up by the wells off of Glen Street.
Mhm.
And I believe we had the order conditions probably 8-10 years ago. And then with the Permanent Extension Act, they automatically got the extension. And so I think they're looking to have, was it 1 year extension? But they put the request in, I think right at the time that it was expiring.
Like day of kind of
Day
thing?
Type of thing, so I think they're allowed at least a year extension on that.
I don't have a problem with giving a year.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fine. Okay, so, let's see, so do I have a motion to extend
So moved.
for both lots 1B and 2B?
Mm-hmm.
And do I have a second?
Yes.
Motion been made and
Second.
seconded, all in favor to extend them for 1 year each.
Aye. Mike?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, that's done.
You think you can train them before you leave?
No. You're always gonna have to ring a bell.
Untrainable.
That's what that's what I have this for.
I'm gonna have to bring snacks. I think that's
My
the way to
God.
Mike's heart, is
Mike.
the snacks.
Kick 'em under the table. Mike.
Hungry.
Okay.
I'm hungry.
Oh, we gotta wait till 7:20. Okay, so do we wanna do any meeting minutes?
Do we have new ones?
No, we
I
have
don't
old
see any.
ones. We have old ones we haven't done yet.
Oh, I do see. It's
March,
May 14th.
Yeah.
Just popped up.
which I just read tonight, before the meeting.
Hold on a second, let's get there.
We're
Restart.
going-
You said
Going way
March?
back to March 5th.
Yes. Page 4 has some missing DEP numbers, so
Well, that's because they weren't issued yet, at the time,
at the time, I don't know.
so we can't
Okay.
Oh, here.
change that.
No, I've got April, I don't have March, sorry.
All right.
I don't even know where they're, I don't have them anywhere in my paperwork.
We gave those back?
No, they were just not done yet,
Oh.
weren't done at all. So I didn't have any real questions on them. Mike,
Well, I
I
have
see
a-
you have
Was that
something
there?
I
circled.
have a question, another second question on
You have a question there?
March 5th.
I just didn't understand what was still in line, but let's see. The phrase is, a 15-inch pipe will be placed under the paved common driveway to discharge water into the detention basin by using a still-in-line grass swale. I can't think of what else it would be. Still in line,
Yeah, this was Crescent Lane.
and he might have used that term, but I can't think of.
Well, it's in line with the
Something
pipe.
in line.
Yeah, so the swale is in
Still
the
in
same.
line
Yeah,
swale,
he probably
which is probably what
said
it is.
it's still gonna be in line with the
Yeah,
pipe.
so that's why I was like, well, maybe not, so.
Oh, what's this one? Roof runoff?
We'll add a berm to be sure that water does not cross the property line. That was,
Runoff.
yeah. 60 Woodland Road. Discussion was held, Mr. Markadant will add a berm to be sure that water does not run off the property line, or water runoff does not cross the property line.
I don't know that that made a difference, actually.
No. Okay, so we can take that off. That's fine.
What's your choice? I can either abstain, or you can let me look at yours for 5 minutes. I have my minutes, my
Well,
notes
we're
here.
gonna start the next public hearing. We'll just,
Which,
Your call, doesn't matter to me.
which date was that?
the 5th, March 5th.
You wanna look at it?
Yeah. Well, if you don't
Well,
mind.
we'll have
please-
to do it after the next
Oh.
public hearing, because it's 7:20. Okay, let's open up the 7:20 public hearing continuation for 225 U Street. Cynthia Morosky.
Thank you, Conservation Commission. Mike Kowalski from EBT Environmental, representing the property owner. Cynthia. We did ask for continuance at the last meeting, did not have
If you want to
the-
bring the tripod up here, so we can,
It looks like it's upside down, yeah.
Yeah,
It's just,
You like it that way?
just like the way I think, right? It's upside down, sorry. We would've got there. The certificate of mailing
oh,
Yes,
thank
yes,
you, yeah, I like
yes.
to see this public.
and
hearing
the
notice.
legal ad from P&G.
Thank you very much.
Thank you again.
The Town of Douglas Conservation Commission will hold a public hearing for Cynthia Morosky on May 14th, which is come and gone, at 8:15 Municipal Center, 29 Depot Street, for work to be done pursuant to the Town of Douglas Wetland Bylaw and the Wetland Protection Act, MGL 131, Section 40. The proposed work location is 225 U Street and involves permitting the construction of a 4-bedroom house with attached garage and associated driveway and well in the buffer zone to a bordering vegetative wetland.
Thank you.
Oh, and the site will be serviced by on-site septic.
Well, at the site inspection in which we had, there was some discussion about a split rail fence, if I can go from left to right around. Split rail fence, there was some tightening up of the wattles up to the 100-foot buffer zone. They were tightened up also in this location so these trees wouldn't be cut in between here. A water line shows going to the well. There is a slurry sump next to the well. So as we move along, we did put a compost location just at the 100-foot buffer zone. The commission could tell us to put it just outside also. Either way, it's just for leaf cutting and grass clippings instead of them going into the wetland, which happens sometimes, or into your 25-foot zone. So we did add that in.
What is that
A
exactly?
compost.
What will it look
First.
like? Compost what?
What do they look like? Grass cuttings, leaves, when
So
they
just a
break.
pile, or is it actually?
Instead of
structure?
having an indiscriminate place to dump
Oh,
your
okay.
compost,
Yeah.
we showed them a place, because sometimes if you don't show, we had this case
Yeah.
in Grafton, so I
I
had
should
somebody
open it
that I
up.
came into, and they were dumping it in a wetland, so we put it on the plan. I know it was something new somewhat, but sometimes it helps to designate just so that they don't end up out this way. So we
Okay.
did describe it at the site inspection, and the commission felt,
Because
you
it's
know,
in
that-
an already cleared area anyway, right?
Right, well, it would be just in between trees. We're not gonna
Oh,
remove
okay.
any trees just to put a
Alright.
pile of, we just don't want them to go this way.
Yeah.
So we're gonna actually show them
Okay.
where to.
Good.
And then if they wanted to, possibly, they could come outside the
Yep.
buffer zone, but that just helps to clarify it just a little bit more than nowhere. We
Right.
did, there was some question about a deck, and so we put a very small deck on the back corner.
Is there any way you could tilt that kind of this direction? Or if you have an extra plan,
Oh, yes, thank you.
so I can put it on the table?
Thank you.
Oh,
I really can't.
Oh, you can't see it?
I can't see any words or
oh, yeah,
details.
okay.
Even with my glasses.
We need a new plan anyway, so.
Okay, good.
I think at the last meeting, we described DP they issued the file them with no comment on it, because it was just buffer zone. The septic system has been approved, but it's outside the
Outside.
100-foot buffer.
Mm-hmm.
The deck is there, lawn has been clarified, split rail fence is clarified to run along this water line. And that was the project. Water table was down approximately 3 feet. It's a A soil, good perking soil.
What's the new plan date?
It's at the stamp, and I believe I got that call 5/23 from the clerk asking what it was, to make sure that we had that. And that was it. There was no other movement of the house or driveway, and we originally moved work outside of the 25, or which had been up in this area. The well was within 50 feet, so we moved the well outside of it, thinking that it would be called a structure. Mr. Zisk actually brought that up, so we moved the well forward and still had plenty of room to get to the septic system, 105.
Plenty of room.
Well, we had room to leave the septic where it was and still move the well forward, is what I
Yeah.
mean.
Okay.
And get it outside the 50.
Right.
Right. And that was the whole case on that, not moving the
5
septic.
feet, I was just saying. I was trying to be funny.
She's being saucy.
Right,
Trying,
right, but
apparently.
if you can see the old fade mark, it was within that 50-foot
It's just
zone.
compost pit.
Okay.
It's just it's just leaf and brush, so they can use it in their gardens in the future, I know I grew up with one of them.
Barely within 100 anyway, so.
This is the, yeah, this is the one.
I believe we agreed on the wetland line at the site inspection. I know Mr. Zisk and I had looked at it, then the commission looked at it again with Mr. Zisk, and did multiple soil borings to identify the hydric, non-hydric soil.
And all the
quality.
hay scented burn out there.
Oh, it's
Unbelievable.
like hay scented, the whole understory. Well, a very nice understory. Right, and then once we get to the wetland, we get to the cinnamon fern,
Mhm.
right, a little bit of marginal in there.
Steve, did you have any other questions?
I think Glenn did a nice job addressing all the commission's concerns and took good notes and
Mhm. Board?
Yeah, you did good job.
Yeah. Anybody in the
Okay.
audience have any questions? Yes,
Yes, I do.
sir. Could you state your name and address?
Kevin Slur at 223 U Street. So I just, I would love to have another house in the neighborhood, but I just have some concerns in how it may have an effect on my property. As you know, U Street, it's a kind of a hill right at that section, and I'm at the, somewhat at the very end of it. So I'm just concerned any backfill of any of the wetlands or even approaching the wetlands may have some effect on my property. The soil level, and I have a soil report that says that, it is a pretty limited area to provide dwelling to, and also for septic design. So I'm just, again, with such tight area to deal with, any effect on those wetlands behind there, and with the downward trend of the water coming down the hill, is there any reason I should be concerned for the backup of that water? And I just want to make sure that you guys are doing due diligence. Again, I would love to have a home next to me, but just want to make sure that it would not have a negative effect on my property.
So where is, like on this plan, where is his house? Okay.
Probably there?
Yeah, it's about kind of even.
To the right of the lot, if we might say.
I have a video here.
Upslope or downslope?
He's upslope. This is a low point. This is high, this is high, this is
So-
low.
It'd be,
So he.
Here's the
if this is
north-south
down-
arrow right here.
Downslope
So
of
it'd
you,
be
it's
east.
unlikely to have an impact.
So my house is right there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you're afraid that there's gonna be fill and it's gonna, where the water in the
Right,
wetland
because
used
it,
to
like,
fill
approaches my
before?
property pretty
Because
close,
he's not
and-
filling in any of the wetlands, he's staying well outside of it. So there won't be any storage capacity reduced, correct, Glenn?
That's correct. We're in the buffer zone, and we are at a low point compared to his property, where the lowest point of that hill, so as you're aware, you're slightly on the side of the hill, it dips down to this low point, then it comes back up to Morosky's home, which is next door, at this side.
Right on the other side, yes.
Right, this is you, the center, the commission and Mr. Zist has seen it twice with me, and then some of the commission members saw it once, but we are at a low point, water can't go up gradient. It does drain to the rear, the road is a drainage divide, at the road, it drains in the opposite direction, as you're probably aware. So whoever was clever enough to put the road there, they did put it at the very top of the drainage divide, which would be east to west. Here's that, well, actually, north to south. So that drains south, the road that drains north, here's that north-south arrow. You're up higher on the, to the west. And here's over to the east, as I'm looking at it, right? Yes. So lastly, we're below, and we're raising the land elevation 2 feet, 4 feet for that septic, and then the other land next to us stays at its same elevation. This stays at the same elevation. That's only for the septic system. So again, the land stays low, draining to the south before we get to your property. And the same would happen on the other side. This will stay as an existing grade and drain to the back. So anything running off on this lot would drain as it
Is there,
continues.
Is there, and again, I'm not, trying to stop on building a home, I want another home in the community, but, is there gonna be a limit of disturbance between what would that limited disturbance, 'cause if they have a limited backyard, how much ability would they have to clear each side yard, and what buffer would be in place between kind of my home and the adjacent home?
Okay.
This is the 100-foot buffer zone, so this area, the commission would not have jurisdiction of, outside the 100 feet, unless you correct me and I'm wrong. And so, yes, adjacent to the septic system, there would be, potentially, they could clear up to the property line, still being below you on both sides. But in this location where they have jurisdiction, we've tightened up the clearing so that these forests in this area can stay intact.
You see the split rail on
Split
the
rail.
plan, so that's their limit of disturbance for the backyard. That's
Right.
within our jurisdiction,
'Cause of the
within the buffer.
conservation, okay.
Yeah.
So how many,
West
how many
up
feet
here,
away
they
will
can
his
clear.
property line be?
Thank you again, I was just looking for that, whether it's 20 or 30, it's a 20 scale, thank you, and we would, with the septic system, we would be 62 feet away from the property line. The grading around it would be 48 feet from the property line in your direction.
And how about the wetland, like the split rail fence, the limit of clearing?
The split rail fence is running along the 25-foot buffer.
From his property line?
The split rail fence from his
30.
property line would be 35
Yeah, 35 feet on that side,
on that side.
within the jurisdiction.
Which isn't very far, but
But also, some of this
I'd
area,
like to keep
some of this area is also still wooded. Your house is further over.
Yes.
Not that we're going
Yeah.
into your property, but there's a section of wooded that we don't need to touch on this property, and also there's a section of woods before you get to your, because when I was flagging this over
Right.
here, I wasn't, at that point,
It's
100%
hard
sure.
to tell where the property line is.
Yeah.
Is there any way? Like,
Yeah,
there's
yeah.
There's no marking?
you'd
Is there
have to
anything
get a surveyor and survey it.
Plus, right, plus or minus, it can be told by, if you go to the back and you see the 6A and 7A, those blue flags, right in between those two flags, the property line goes directly perpendicular to the road.
Okay.
But I flagged further over, probably one more flag, to behind your location, to ensure that I had the complete radius of what that 100-foot buffer would look like for the commission.
Yeah, because we don't determine boundaries of property. We only
What
authorize
affects the
them to do
conservation
the
or-
work. Yeah.
No, I just
Not
wanted, and I'm
jurisdiction.
glad, I'm pleased to hear about the, the composting side, and just making sure like there's some awareness of the potential
Yeah,
hardship it could create if things were filled in or.
That's right.
Right,
or
We-
disturbed. or-
right.
Yeah.
We stay 50 feet away, 50-plus feet away from, this is the 50-foot line, the house is 50 feet, probably 53 feet away from the wetland itself. I could tell you that it's 56 feet off the wetland, and there's no touching within 25 feet of the wetland there, but the bylaw here says don't touch that 25-foot zone with a single-family house. So we stayed, this is the 25-foot zone, right here, where's my 25? I hope you didn't erase that. Here's my 25-foot zone. We didn't get within that, and we just encroach minimally even into the 50-foot zone by,
We're talking about 50 foot, no, 50 foot for structures.
Yeah.
right,
Not
we're
the 25.
56 feet with the structure, but we are encroaching
Clearing.
into that
Mhm.
50-foot zone with a piece of lawn that would be, the lawn extends into it, 15, 17 feet. So we just go into the 50-foot zone, 17 feet, with a piece of lawn right here. The rest of the lawn is outside of the 50.
And that's
Yes.
just the buffer zone, not the wetland itself.
We're not in the wetland. Even though the abutter notification sometimes, as it reads, looking to fill, dredge, or alter a wetland, that's what the state gives us for language. That doesn't mean, it could also mean, and sometimes we modify them to say buffer zone instead of that, because it gets neighbors thinking we're gonna fill in a wetland. So I should talk to my office to ensure that we go back to which ones are buffer zones, they only say buffer zone and not fill, dredge, and alter, because that does get people going. We're not fill, dredging, or altering of the wetland.
No, and I do appreciate the looking, being conscious of the deck size and different things, because it
Yeah.
is, I'm sure laws were different when my house was built in the 80s, and I'm surprised where it is and where it's situated, so. I just wanted to make sure that, it's being thoughtful, and, and I'm very pleased to see a house, a new house in the neighborhood, but just want to make sure, you guys are doing due diligence and thinking about, which it appears you are.
Yes.
You're not alone in wondering where your property line is. Many of us have that problem, yeah.
we will say, if we could, that the bylaw of the town makes it stricter than the state law, so they require us to, a higher standard in this town and other towns that have bylaws, than just what the state would require. And
That's good to
the
know.
state law could allow us to go 10 feet off the wetland, or right up to the wetland, so they have a nice buffer here, bylaw. Thank you.
Thank you.
Did you happen to spray
Thank
paint
you.
that drill
Thank you.
hole on the front wall?
Drill hole on the front
Because
wall.
he can do 32 feet from the drill hole in the stone wall in the front there.
So there is a
And you
marker?
could find, yeah, you
I don't-
could find your approximate
We
property
I
line.
don't recall seeing that drill
We
hole.
didn't see a drill hole, but we saw the curve in the wall.
Oh, okay, yeah, so you could go 32 feet
Yeah,
from there.
I didn't see a drill hole myself.
Well, you'd have to dig around to find it.
Right, well, and that's not my job, right?
We assume that's where it would be.
Okay.
Can I add just a comment?
Could you state your
Right.
name, please?
Okay.
Could you
I'm-
state your name and
yeah.
address, please?
My name's Mark Tremblay. I live 303 Courthouse Lane in Burrowville, Rhode
Okay.
Island. I'm his father-in-law. I'm also, you may know my name, I'm a consulting forester. I've submitted the Chapter 132 cutting plans, a couple of them here in this town in the past. And as a forester, if I walked out on that property, I would just by the vegetation, say that that's a wetland. I know you have your specific codes that you use and soil
Soils.
tests, but by vegetation, there's a reason that there hasn't been a house built in there before.
Because she owns the property next door to her is the reason.
And it's definitely a wetland. It's just, you guys have your specific areas that you know, your buffers that you're calling. And I just was here to kind of view what kind of protections you had on that. If I was, as a forester, if I was setting up a logging job, I would have to observe State of Massachusetts Cutting Practice Act guidelines on working around in a wetland with ridgeberry soils. And so I'm a little surprised that you're building a house in one.
So, yes.
Can I answer that?
You can answer that.
Thank you very much. The water table by the soil testing is 3 feet down. If it was a wetland, the water table would have to be a foot down to 18 inches. There's non-hydric soils throughout this site, and the red maples,
It's
the
ridgeberry.
red maple soil, the soil testing shows that it's 2-minute perk rate. So SCS is wrong in cases, and in fact, on the BVW data forms, they ask you, do you agree on who saw it? And I can see somebody driving by and not actually testing it, because I know people that did the soil mapping. And this looks like one that when I first pulled up to it, I thought it was a wetland.
Yeah.
Sure, and then I looked at the soil, the perk and deep holes observed by your Board of Health, done by the sanitarian, and it is 3 feet down. And there's non-hydric soils within 12 inches, and under the state law, if you have non-hydric soils within 12 inches of the bottom of an O horizon, it's not a wetland. These soils are 10YR44, 10YR46, all the way to the back to when those soils turn hydric. And red maples themselves are facultative. 33 to 66% of the time, they grow in a wetland or in an upland. I'm just going to answer the
They grow all
question.
over the place.
I'm
It's
just gonna answer the
It's just that
question.
they don't grow 100% red maple.
It
Well,
is.
let him-
other than-
him
Let me
his
finish up
thought.
then,
Okay.
because I went through this lot. It is not 100% red maple. There's white ash in there, there's yellow poplar in there, fack up. There's red oak in there also. And the herbaceous layer is nearly completely hay-scented fern, which is fack up.
I'm
So
sorry,
we
I
have-
didn't mean to put you on the defensive.
No, I don't
I
mind.
was
He's
just
answering
making a
your
point
question.
to the
Like, no
board.
back and forth, just let him answer his
Just
question.
making a point, because the commission, I knew this lot, looking at it, would be a question, and that's why I normally don't do that many soil borings, as many as I did 19 on this site. Just to, and the lot is just all orange out there. It's all orange, because I looked, right starting on the road when I first came in, augured, soil description, auger, had my surveyor pick up all those soil borings to make a case to the commission, and I do this with DEP too, because a lot of people do not put down the soil borings on their plan, but I've been doing it since '95 when they brought soils into the regulation, because instead of just saying this is an upland and that's a wetland, I'll put the soil description on the plan, and then you're either calling me potentially a liar, or we can always go out there and look in those holes, and I did,
The video
and
will
it,
show you the amount of orange on the.
it's bright, non-hydric, not a water table up in the soil.
Every orange flag is soil borings.
It was, it's not a challenge, it's just something that I always do with the, in some towns like Charlton where it's just all rock, you're working like a bugger to do that many soil. This soil was easy to go down in. And the last thing, if I could say about the porosity, well, he designed, on this one, even with the Ridgeberry, I get my rate now, it's a B, 17 minutes per inch. So we have a 60-minute perk rate, which is the max you can go. It's 30 it used to be, and we're at 17. So the porosity was fine, the water table was down 3 feet. Yes, it has to be a raised system by 3 feet, because normally you need 6 feet to get a septic in, 4 feet from the bottom of the pipes to the water table, and 1.5 feet to 2 feet of cover over the top of the pipe. So generally, any septic system needs to be 4 feet deep to the water. So yes, with 3 feet, he does have it raised up, but he still had a decent perk rate in there, and I agree. Driving by, it looks, it's all red maple, well, from the road, it looks like red maple, but there's backup plants in there, and the herbaceous layer is backup also. And I did a BVW data form, which is also part of the
Got a
exhibit,
copy, right?
which shows the soils on the wetland side and the soils on the upland side, and then it does a density for your tree, sapling, shrub, herb, and vine layers in the data plot, which we're required to do, UNH for years, 8, 9 years up there on it. That shows that it's dominated by upland plants on the upland side, even though there's red maple in there, and it's dominated by wetlands and hydric soils on that wetland side. So but I agree. First look, I had questions. That's all I can say.
Thank you.
Okay, any other questions? All right. Okay,
All right.
so board, it's your pleasure on this, to close an issue.
Yes, so moved.
Second.
Motion been made to close the public hearing and issue an order conditions. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
We thank you for hearing me out on that one, only
Thank you.
because it is
was
that
good
kind of lot.
explanation.
Well, I thank you.
I walk by there almost every day, and
Yeah.
for years I said,
Well,
how can they sell that lot? It's wet.
I-
And you proved it wasn't.
And we do
It
that
looked-
sometime, but only,
I've never
it made
seen
it by.
water there,
No,
but
you
it
never.
looked like it should be.
Right,
Bring
and
them
the
all
funny
set
part
up,
about the
exposed
hay-scented fern,
worms.
one thing about
Yeah.
hay-scented fern, it just loves it
That
in
bad.
wetland. It does, you'll never see it really encroaching into a wetland. It clearly is in the upland. I've been doing this since '86, and that's all the hay-scented fern in there. So that told me something right off the bat with the top, where the water table, at least near the surface, was saying. But the red maples do like it moist, but they'll go moist up, moist down, because that's why they're facultative, right in the middle. They can go either way.
Okay.
Thank
very
you
good.
again. Thank you
Thank
for
you.
hearing me.
And it was like a tree geek fest too, huh? You guys.
Oh, geez. Now the board's on the ground.
Okay, next we have Becky Laramie, I guess this must be discussion,
Yeah, just
17 Huff Road.
Yeah, that's me, Becky Laramie.
All right, come on up to the table and let us know why you're here.
Well, I had, permit with you guys to put in a little beach area. And during the construction, we ran into some trouble and had to put in a pipe. So Steve said I should come in and tell you about the pipe that we had to replace. Because it wasn't part of the original plans.
But we didn't close out your permit yet, right?
I don't
Did
know
you get
how
an
to
RDA or NOI?
RDA.
Did an RDA?
This is the original, when we first came in for the RDA, and along the right side, you'll see there's a little stream.
Mm-hmm.
Like drainage off the street?
Yeah, pretty much.
And right there, just gonna take this out and put a little inlet in. And then this
Right
pipe,
there.
the pipe is under here, and you
Yep.
see, and it continues out to about this stake here.
What was the length?
Of what?
The pipe? The new pipe that you replaced?
The new, that's a good question.
So
You
here's
only
the-
had to do it where
I
you
had to-
broke it.
Right,
Okay.
so it failed where the pipe started. So Steve, could you go back one?
Well, there's some
No.
video, I mean, the neighbor's here also, so the neighbor, sent some pictures of during construction. Yeah, I really could show you, but,
Sure.
go ahead.
Let's see what Steve's got.
Alright, so I'll just keep continuing. So this is the area that, right here, from here to here, they're digging out.
Yep.
And then let me see if I get some.
How long ago did we issue the RDA? Was it positive or negative, by the way? I assume it was negative.
Negative, yeah.
With condition.
How long ago?
I think it was October-ish,
No.
because we
The
waited.
water was down, yeah.
We had to wait till
Yeah.
water was down.
Yeah.
We had to
Here's
wait
the
till water
pipe.
was down.
And
Okay.
this is, and the neighbor, I think the neighbor's got some other,
Now, it's still discharging onto your property.
No.
Oh,
What do you mean discharging? I'm not sure what you mean.
well, the pipe looks like it's coming out in a different direction. That's the new pipe, right?
Yep.
Where, show the old one, Steve?
and so, the one that, this one comes through here, the other one is kinda, it's over probably a
12
foot.
inches or so, yeah.
A foot over, and it's discharging this way to the right.
Where are the steps?
We
in the
took
new
them
one?
out to put in, because
Oh,
that's
oh,
why
oh.
they were failing, and we had to take them out, because they were just crumbling into the, so just like you can see, well, you can't see it in that one, but,
And then, yeah, let me see if I have.
so that pipe, wait, can you go back? So that old terracotta pipe, can you see where it's hitting? Well, you can't, because
Can
the
you
water's
zoom in?
high.
What's
Steve,
that?
could you zoom in? You're too
Ooh,
far
look at
away
his
from
paper.
me.
Alright, so you see what the pipe's hitting? The pipe is hitting the
Yeah.
stone wall and deteriorating the stone wall. So when we put in the new pipe, we came out further over that stone wall. Honestly, we needed it, because you can see that it lays right on that stone wall. So
You're
that,
talking about the stone lip? I don't see
Lip.
a wall.
The horizontal part.
well,
Okay.
right there, it looks
Oh.
like a wall. Can I
A
get up and
concrete
point?
wall.
Can I get up and point?
Yeah, no, I see it now, but
So
it's.
right under it, yeah, so
Yeah.
right under it is good wall right there, but you can kind of see over to the side, like that's deteriorating as well. So that we needed to have something to put that turquoise pipe on, because the wall was you can call it a lip, I don't know what you want me to call that, concrete section.
Yeah.
So it was decaying, well, not decaying, but what do you call it?
Eroding it?
Yeah, so, we had to, plus, when the pipe broke, it eroded all the land all around it. So we had to find some place to put the pipe, so that it was the same level it was before it collapsed. And so we moved it over just about the width of the pipe, to get to good, what do you want me to call it, stone wall? To get to good
Yeah, the concrete portion.
concrete portion,
So-
correct.
How did the project impact the pipe that was on the side
It
of the
wasn't supposed to
project?
impact it at all, we were just building our stone wall beside it. So we broke the stone wall
Yep.
and came in with 2 stone walls.
Mm-hmm.
And as we were building, this one was already done, and as we were building the one next to the brook, that pipe, it was put in 1954, 55, it broke. And we were building, we said, well, it's just a little crack, let's put our bricks, right, not bricks, but big stones right up against it, and it just didn't work.
Okay. And this is on your property?
Yes, everything's on my property. And we drew a line purposefully. We had the property surveyed. You asked about a pin in the stone wall, colored. We have a pin in the stone wall, spray painted, so that we knew that the neighbors would be upset if, we're looking for good land, because the thing, it was like a waterfall. Our whole stone wall that we built, good thing we had the wattle stuff, right? So the whole stone wall just collapsed because I have some pictures, let me show you guys. And if the Wilsons want, to see too, because we're gonna be neighbors forever. So for sure, I just wanted to share these, for sure this stone wall was built in 1954. This is my mother-in-law, Teresa. So this, and I think it even says right here, so September 57, that's when the waterfront was complete. These were when that pipe was put in. It was a terracotta pipe. So I had some pictures. I took pictures all along. We had no intention of doing anything with the pipe, except building beside it. So this is the final one. It's kind of pretty. So this is the pipe. Looks good. I don't know if you can see it, but we started building our stone wall right here. So we started building our stone wall right here. And we're coming up right beside the pipe. It comes into this metal box, cement box thing. If you can see the break right there, that's where it broke. So we had already come almost all the way with our stone wall. and it broke right here. And we were like, it's just a little break. But as we continued to build the stone up, it just let go. So this whole section, it was like and this was in, shall I note, December, the last week of December, first 3 weeks of January. So it was freezing as it came out. It was icicles, it washed everything away. So we had no plan of replacing this pipe, and then we had to do something because it was, as you can see here, the pipe, you asked me how long it was, however long these turquoise things are.
20 feet.
Right, so we ran to the commercial pipe place, said, this is what we're doing, we need commercial grade pipe, we need to make sure that it's DEP, whatever. And the pipe, all right, so over here is that cement thing, right? So that's that cement thing. And we knew we got the right height. And then we came down to the other cement, where it's located here, the other cement. So we knew we got the right height, but we had to jack it up, we had to put stones under it, the whole land fell out. Everything fell. The only thing that didn't change was, this is a rock that goes onto the Wilson's land. It's a big, and it pushes out, and that's why this one,
Carl.
see, that's the rock,
Yeah.
same rock. So, Mr. Wilson thinks that I moved it really far. I couldn't, because of his big rock right there. His big rock, where is it on this one? Right here. And we were
Moved what,
actually,
the pipe really far?
we couldn't move it, right, and we didn't really want to. Thank God we had the rock, because we put the pipe right against the rock as it was before. So it was the only thing solid that was left after this pipe collapsed. So we kind of used, see, that's his rock, and we put ours right under it, because the only thing that was solid, everything else washed away. So we had this, and Mr. Wilson's rock to be able to use as our points to put the pipe back in where it was before. It is over probably about the width of the pipe, because we needed to move over to get to, as you could see on there, a lip that would hold it. So that's, and I did take pictures of the old pipe. And we had stuff to protect that wall, trying to make it so it didn't erode. But so this is the old pipe and the stone wall, and in that picture it doesn't look like it's angled at all, but in this picture that pipe's pretty angled.
Okay. Do you have a plot plan with you?
I don't have anything.
So
I was
who
just
owns
coming.
the pipe?
I do.
Okay.
It's all
Alright,
on my
so you-
land. It's
okay.
all.
So all the activity was on your property?
Yeah, and we definitely, we had no intention of doing this. This cost me way more money
Yeah.
than I wanted to. I had to start the damn project all over again. And this pipe was like $1,500.
Yeah.
So
Probably.
it was,
Okay, so
so I've just come in to tell you, in the middle of January, on a very cold day, I had to replace the pipe because it washed all the land. The straw wattle stopped it from going into the lake. We did have to clean up from the straw wattles.
But you just told us in May 24th.
Yeah.
But you did the work what month? You replaced the pipe when?
January, so this would
So
be.
I'm just trying to get to how this came up at this point.
Because the Wilsons called to complain that I changed the pipe.
But that was in January.
Yeah.
Okay.
I didn't know I had to
But
tell
the
you.
call was right now.
Yeah, I don't know. I didn't know I had to tell you that the pipe collapsed and I replaced it, because, I just didn't know. I would have to tell you.
I
if
would more consider it as an emergency fix at the
It
time,
was totally an
but
emergency.
now it's kind of like after the fact. I'm not
Mhm.
really sure what progressed to bring it up.
Well, Steve said
Well,
that
now
we
we
should
do.
make sure we
Know
should
the-
make
the
sure
neighbor
it gets
complaint.
noted.
Yeah.
He just wanted
Yeah.
to make sure it got noted,
Well,
that the emergency fixed.
Yeah, maybe the neighbors, I was gonna call it from the abutter, not so much about the, and they can speak for themselves,
Yeah.
but
Yeah,
with
why-
family,
yeah.
they
Yeah,
don't
why
really,
don't we-
they think the job they did on the opening of the area was fine.
Okay.
The two complaints or concerns were, it was the pipe that was installed was over more and when it went over more, the splashing from the water is eroding under their dock. And, you know, on this picture, you can see the dock, and they can speak to that. And then the other complaint they're having is that one of the photos I showed, the dock, there's a dock that there's a couple
Yeah,
of
just
docks,
it's
couple
just
pieces
placed
of dock
there.
that you're installing.
No,
that-
I'm not
But I'm just
installing.
telling you what they're complaining.
Oh, I'm not
So
installing.
they're here tonight, they can,
I don't have a permit for that.
where is it here?
I don't. I'm not installing.
So
I'm
this-
good. I'm all
This
set.
dock, this is their dock for their boat, so
Okay.
Yeah, kinda long, Dave.
that, and then there's another one, this one here, I think.
Yeah, that one's gone.
Okay.
Don thing's so heavy, I can't even tell you. Looks wobbly, but, so those two pieces are, it's all aluminum docking, we just didn't have the manpower to
So
move
when is
it.
this picture from?
3 weeks ago, maybe?
What's that wood that's covering the pipe?
That's this cement thing, it's always been, we didn't change it, so, this, hold on, let me see if I have a good photo. This cement thing,
No, but it looks like wood,
covering this cement
of
thing,
multiple pieces of wood.
covering,
Okay.
Oh,
we always had it covered that way, cause my father-in-law built it that way so that he could get in there and pull out the leaves. So the brook, kinda comes down into a pipe, then comes into this cement box, and then comes into that pipe,
Okay.
okay?
Like a D-box that he used?
You know, he's gone, I can't ask him, but, it's unsightly, but, it's still covered with wood just as it always was. We didn't ask any permission for that stuff, so.
Okay.
all right, so let's hear from the abutters. Do you wanna say anything, or come on up to the table and give your names and your address for the record?
You don't have the original RDA handy, do you?
He's got everything.
My name is Dawn Wilson from, 36 Main Street in Grafton. This is where our residents are.
David Wilson, 36 Main Street, South Tremblay.
But you're a direct abutters to this
Yes.
property?
Yes.
Yeah.
And what's that address?
11 Huff Road.
Okay.
So, yeah.
If you could pass that to the
Oh,
board.
sure enough.
Oh,
Got a bushel over there, anybody sure?
thanks.
So our main concern was not with the ramp itself, but with the pipe coming from the ramp. And in the pictures, we have a before and after of the property line, which is where the cement here kind of notches out. And I scaled the two pictures to basically show the distance away and where it was on the first page. From our understanding, originally, the plot plan, which I do have, and my husband's grandfather owned the property, and then his mother and uncle owned the property, has a note that there's a 6-foot wide drainage easement centered on the centered on and 3 foot either side of the property line extending from Huff Road to the pond as shown by the broken line. So I do have that for you. You can see in the second page the picture of the stairs, which are crumbling, no doubt about it. You'll see the pipe is on the upper level there. It is hitting the wall, which does break the flow of the water coming out, because in the bottom picture you can see in the springtime when the lake is filling, it is coming out quite quickly.
Is that this one?
Yep.
Okay.
So, the yellow line is the property line. And you can see the difference in the pipe from this property line. And you can also see that the pipe was higher than it was before.
Which one?
The top picture, you can see it's in the upper step.
I still.
whereas
upper
now
step.
it's below, no?
No, it's still in the upper step, right here. It's in the upper step, same step. We put it in the exact same spot.
If you turn the page, you can see that it is below that spot.
Wow. Wait, I don't know what you're talking about.
So here's the first step,
Yeah.
the ground level. You
Yeah.
come down this first step, the pipe's right there.
This, you can't see the step. You
If,
have it in
if we could
some-
not have back and forth
Okay.
discussion, just
That's
direct your
fine.
questions to me if you have any.
Okay, so the top picture is the before where the pipe is up on the first step, and you can see the step here, and
It's
going
not
down and
accurate.
the pipe.
No, I'm sorry, your top picture does not show the topmost step. All you have to do is go to your second page and you can see that it's on exactly the same step as before. It's just an artifact of how
Okay.
that third
Oh,
page
okay,
picture was
because of
taken.
how the wall was taken apart. Okay. So,
Yeah,
on
I
the
didn't
next,
want, I didn't really.
But we see that it's been
Conservation-wise,
moved, it's definitely
yeah.
been moved to the left, so, can you express your concerns, please?
our concerns are that the water is now eroding even more so. If you look at the pictures, at the wall level,
Which one? Oh, hold on, let's just go back.
March 1st, 2018, you're beginning to see that the wall, the soil under the wall there is starting to wash out. And the red lines are where you can see erosion happening.
So that wasn't happening with the other clay pipe.
They actually had stones.
They had stones
Right here.
so that the water would hit the stones and disperse.
Would you like
Okay.
stones placed there now to do exactly the same thing as it's been doing all that time?
Sure.
We prefer the pipe to be back where it is because our concern is with the drainage easement is now the pipe is closer, which brings the 3 feet of drainage easement more into the yard. So that's affecting our land.
Can I ask what that drainage easement means? I mean, I had the land surveyed, it's not like
An
a.
easement means that
It's like-
it's on someone else's property, right, Tracy?
But
I
if
mean,
there's
that's
an-
the whole
so-
purpose of having it.
Right, so you have fee interest to
I'm
your
sorry?
property line. You have fee interest to your property line, but in
Feet?
order,
F-E?
fee, oh, fee,
It means you
F-E-E.
own the property to your property line,
Correct.
let's just keep it really
And
basic.
then,
No, because
well,
that's how I always
this
felt
is
when
not
people said stuff like that.
conservation.
I don't know what that
FEE?
stuff means.
FEE what?
FEE,
oh,
yeah.
I,
Yeah,
Okay.
just normal people talk here. So,
well,
I
well, we're
feel the
talking
same way.
about easements, so if we wanna
Okay.
get technical.
No, but
No,
let's not get
please,
technical,
tell me.
let's explain it
Okay.
in a way that everybody
Well, the
understands.
maintenance easement is, it's for for the maintenance of the pipe, in case it needs to be worked on. So within that 6 feet,
If you had to dig
within
up,
the
you'd be
6
throwing
feet,
some dirt on
you
their
could put
property.
it anywhere you
know?
want. And actually, I don't know if there's an agreement for a fee to fix that pipe when it does, because typically people share the responsibility
We have.
of that pipe.
Over the years we have.
So it doesn't matter where it lands, if it's totally on one side of the 6 feet or totally on the other. They just did the 3 feet on either side so that there would be enough room to excavate and do something with that. I think with the erosion, put some rocks under it. I think if the direction you feel like it's a little bit different, you can always get an elbow or something to redirect the flow if it's really that big of a deal. But we're here for conservation. We're not here for property line disputes. You guys, it's
Yeah.
summertime coming up.
But-
We should
But
just.
technically, this
Also,
is
I'm-
all
I'm
legal,
concerned
it's
about
all
the
done within
erosion.
the,
It's
the,
in
within
the-
the
I'm not
6
concerned
foot.
because these rocks were moved. These rocks they were doing a little, they were serving a purpose.
So I think being a good neighbor,
right.
you should throw some rocks under there and prevent the erosion to their
Well, the
side.
direction of the pipe is changed as well.
Right, but that actually is not causing any conservation commission issues, and it is still not property-wise an issue either, because it's within the 6 foot easement. So there's actually nothing technically wrong, so the neighborly thing to do would be to put some rocks so that it's not causing erosion underneath their deck.
I totally agree.
But at the same time, there's nothing illegal here and nothing in violation of the Conservation Commission either.
And maybe if you could put the rocks so that they splash on your side instead of
Angling.
your
Or
neighbors,
straight
because-
out.
Or
You
straight
could do
out.
Or straight out.
I like that.
Yes, straight out.
I think that
Would be
the
good.
reason why is because this pipe is just a tad different. I mean,
Yeah.
it's
And it's
not.
also over, so it used to freeze, so when it hit that stone wall, it would create an ice dam. And this so I think that that's kind of why we were doing it in those 3 weeks where it was absolutely frozen, right? 3 weeks. Well, sub-zero, so it creates an ice dam, this old one. So this old one creates an ice dam, it starts to build up, build up, and it would stop up the pipe so bad that it would flood our lawn. So when my husband put in the new one, he said, hey, let's make sure it goes over, so it's hitting the actual, we'll put rocks in there if that helps Mr. Wilson.
Yeah,
But
there might be
it won't
some
freeze
kind
anymore.
of little launch piece that you can
Yeah.
purchase at that very
just don't want it to
expensive
freeze.
commercial pipe store and launch it out
I
so that
almost
it's.
fell over. I don't know how much that
It sticks
stuff
out
costs.
farther, so
Oh, yeah,
it
much
doesn't
farther.
look as nice, but they do clear the
It's a
steps.
pretty- they
It
used to
stops
have
the
true
erosion of the
points.
steps.
You should.
There's no
We
steps there
can
anymore.
stick some
so
rocks
it's-
to it too.
No,
Yeah, there's no
So,
steps
so
there.
by
Consensus.
consensus, we agree that some large flat rocks. I mean,
think
there's all
probably wanna
kinds of
make it-
stuff.
I probably wanna make it
I think
pretty,
you
like
guys
a
need to
waterfall.
just sort it
kind of-
out. It's
Sure.
summertime's coming. It was an
Okay.
accident. You didn't mean to do it. The pipe was replaced with a like pipe. And
Well, we
it
don't
was
wanna,
adjusted.
we
I don't know
don't
about
wanna
like
be,
lights, but-
oh, just do what you want. I'd
Yeah,
say
if you
that
want,
you,
if
you
you
put
want
this
more.
size
We
rocks,
didn't-
she's talking a waterfall now. She
I'm
just said
I'm
waterfall.
just concerned why the pipe was dug out in the first place.
That's why I wanted to see the RDA, the original
Did you,
RDA.
it's right here.
Oh,
We showed you the pictures in the original.
The original had a pipe dumping water into the lake, and the current one has a pipe dumping water into the lake. There's no Conservation Commission issue here.
Well, it is
It-
eroding, and
No.
it wasn't before.
It's in the lake, though.
Again, put some rocks there. There's no size designation for rocks required.
I
Just,
think there is.
do you know the perfect size rock?
No, I don't, but I don't want just
I
some
have no problem with
pebbles
putting rocks.
or
I'm not
keystones,
putting,
cause they're gonna wash away.
no.
I mean, I think we need to be definite on this, or just
Then
one
name
big
a size
rock
and give
isn't
it to
going
them.
to do it.
Let's do it. What's your size?
like
I'm gonna wait till she's done
like
looking at
stones
that.
as previously in the picture.
Perfect.
There's your picture. Use the picture,
I'd say
the one that
exactly
you had.
those size
I think it was
stones.
Dawn's, actually.
The before?
Yeah, I think, no, see, yeah, right here, the before.
this stuff.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
February 29th picture. Can we make it look like that?
Well, I'm not gonna put that
Well,
big
not
one
that
in
big
there.
rock there.
Oh, she
Okay.
don't want
was,
that big rock
okay.
there. She
Well-
don't want that big rock there.
I would
It was in line
pick a
with the.
couple and like that flat one right there is Brandy.
Well, we just-
Brandy's all
we-
set.
yeah,
All
we,
right.
yeah,
I'm really
Brandy's
I'm
all
okay
set.
with
She's
something like what was previously.
I'm sorry that
Yes.
you're annoyed. I mean,
No, I'm just saying, we know what we need to do. You need to put some rocks and prevent erosion of your neighbors, which is a good thing to do, and
No
so go
problem.
for it, do it, and we're good.
Well, I didn't know, I didn't think we're finished.
And
yet.
after
We're
it's
still not through
done,
this stuff.
after you put your rocks in,
It'll have
can
to
you
be when
contact
water.
Steve to go out so he can take a
Sure.
picture in case
Not a
there's
problem.
any further issues? We can
Sure.
say, look, this is what it looked like when it was finished.
Sure enough, sure.
So-
No
And
problem. We'll
then the
have to
height-
wait till the
the
water
height?
goes down.
that's different there
It's
with
the same.
with
We
the
said
rocks
it's-
in the water?
On the,
In
you
the
mean
water.
hitting the bottom.
Yeah, there's there, with the new wall, there is that rock ledge there, I guess.
It's
Direct.
yours, your granddad.
It's the same, it's on the same rock ledge that it was,
No,
except
I'm
it's hanging
saying
over
in
farther.
the water. I'm not saying on the land, I'm saying in the water.
Base
Could
of the wall, is what you're saying?
Yeah, could you point? Can she point, just so, I just
Yeah.
wanna make sure they feel good about this, I don't wanna have, we're gonna be neighbors forever,
What do you want?
so.
grab
This?
Talking about
Careful,
all of
this is
this,
very precious.
this is now higher,
Oh, no, that's all settled, done.
causing
That was
the
just,
erosion. That's why we're concerned, because
that's just, that's all settled, you could step on that, you'll sink right in, that's just, we put the sand, we wanted it to, we wanted to have a good base, and, so we put some, pre-base down, and, then we put the sand on top of it, so it's just sand and, small tiny pebbles, it's not. I thought we were talking about this, drainage thing, so.
well, I am, because
Steve, is
the
the
water
sand and the pebbles as per the original request?
Sand.
Huh.
Sand.
It's a sand.
Well, sand,
Yeah, so it said that in the
It's a-
original request,
I don't know about the pebbles, technically, the pebbles.
but to that height,
Sand
The
ramp.
the height's actually probably lower today than it is in this picture because it's sunk. And we wanted it to have a nice solid base so it wouldn't be washing
Let's see
away.
if I have some, other photos.
So if that's as was originally approved, I'm sorry, sir, I believe you said you had another item as well, another issue?
I just wanna make sure they feel good about this.
Just to show you guys the pipe, and I think that Steve has pictures of that I don't see anywhere where the picture, in the picture here, that the pipe is broken and needed to be replaced in the first place. It's
Yeah.
right in the,
It wasn't broken really too bad, but.
you said that it was broken and it was smashed right
It
up.
wasn't, it didn't break until, see, right there, we saw a little crack, but look, all the dirt's there, we didn't take any dirt, the stones are starting to be built right here, that's the beginning of the stones, we started to build the stone wall. And I don't know if you can kinda see it, but it's broken right there, we were still building. We did not buy this pipe before this. We
So
did not spend an outrageous amount of money before, so that's right there, and I didn't take this picture because it was broke, I took this picture because it was part of the beginning. And that's where,
So the most that we could do at this point, if your concern was that maybe it wasn't broken, would be, at this point, to issue $100 fine, which is what we fine somebody for being in violation. We are definitely not gonna ask them to rip up a whole pipe and cause even more, more disruption to the soil for the sake of whether or not that pipe was broken in the first place or not. At this point, it's done and in. We won't have
Our
them.
problem is not with the ramp, it's with the pipe and where it's located now and on the angle that it is, and then it causes,
Right, but we talked about that, so you were saying you had an additional issue about why that
you
pipe was
just said that we weren't
replaced.
finished. You're ready, you got your hand over your head like this, like you're getting perturbed.
I'm just
And that's a little
saying,
upsetting to me when we haven't even finished talking yet.
well, but we had finished the issue of the rocks. So
We did?
had, yeah, we had said replace rocks.
We weren't finished talking, everything all turned.
Well, I mean, that's as far as I know, we finished with talking about the rocks, yes?
Well, then you asked him if he had another question.
Well, no, because he said there was more he wanted to talk about. So I wanted to be sure that we talk about everything you want to talk about for sure. But once we come to a conclusion on each item, we should move to the next item. And so I'm just checking, have we hit all the items that you want to hit?
Well, he's still, I didn't say, okay, we're done with the rocks. I mean, they still have concerns about the erosion, which is, do you think there should be additional
Well,
rocks?
and the easement, because if it says on the plan that you have here that it's 3 feet each side of the center, then by moving that pipe over, so now is the easement over into our yard even more, it's a 12-inch pipe, and if you say you moved it 12 inches, the other day you said 17, so now it's over 2 feet further than it was before?
Within the 6 feet.
And so
Yeah.
does that mean the easement is
No,
even
the
further
easement
over to my yard?
stays put, but you have within that 6 feet for things to take place. So that pipe is moving within that 6-foot easement.
So because we had the movement of this pipe and it's causing the erosion, you guys are all right with that?
The erosion is going to stop when she puts the rocks back.
Exactly.
And I would
Good
try
size
to
rocks.
take a look at that outlet and directing it straight ahead.
My
Because I
question
think
is,
it
why
is.
was it moved originally in the first place? I don't understand it. If we have in these pictures,
It's allowed to be moved though. If you're looking at the
without a permit,
easement,
she didn't even tell you she was doing it.
well, that would have been emergency because it was already unearthed, but I would fall under maintenance of pipes. If it was broken, she put it with a like pipe, and I don't really see a violation on that. I think that pipe was gonna fail eventually, and it's your responsibility. Most likely, I don't know how the deed reads, but most likely to maintain the flow of the water so that it doesn't go anywhere else, that it's actually within that 6 feet, within a pipe, as it's always been.
So the
So
6 feet I'm sorry. 6 feet doesn't move.
Never.
Okay.
What did you say in the plot, what did you say in the deed?
Yeah.
So in the deed,
So there's
you
probably a
guys could have had to fix
maintenance.
this? Is there, how do
I
I
don't-
find that?
You look at the
The
registry
registry
of
of
deeds.
deeds on your property.
So one person's gonna grant, they probably agreed when
Yeah.
that
It's
stream
really on
first
my
was
land, though.
formed.
It's on my land, so I'm sure I was supposed to take care of it.
It depends on what it says. There's a maintenance easement for a reason. So that you can take care of, somebody
So Dawn told me
can
about it, I
take
didn't
care
even
of
know
that.
about that whole thing. I didn't
Yeah.
really understand
Well,
that.
that's for instances just like this, where
Okay.
if you had to go on their property
Yeah,
3 feet in or wherever,
to
whatever,
fix
like
something,
if you're standing on their property and you had to shovel something or put stone on that side,
okay,
you
alright.
could do it as of right,
Okay.
because both of you have the agreement.
And I tried very hard not to even, so I just wanna point out on here, to everyone, that, you know, your property line, it's
Yeah.
actually over here.
Well, we
It's
can't
not
determine
there. I
property
just wanna make
lines.
sure you know, like, you were there for the survey, I'm not talking
Can-
to
can
her, I'm
we
talking
move-
at
Can we
the-
but
move on? But we
it's
can't
really
I just
not
wanted
relevant.
to
It's
be
not
so
relevant.
We're just
Suggestions
concerned with these
addressing the
erosions.
erosion,
I don't want her to be
addressing
mad.
any material going into the pond.
I'll just put
Whatever
in,
you want.
you know, the rocks as you suggested. I have a palette of rock, like kind rocks that we took out of the lake when we took this wall down, right? So I have, I had to wait weeks and weeks and weeks because I wanted like kind. So I ordered flat ones. I actually offered some to those guys to kind of maybe even go onto theirs and make a nice patio, but I'll just take a couple of those and they're flat. So I'll kind of make like a nice, you know, waterfall
I'm
under
sure
it.
there's a directional PVC
You
piece
know?
also that you can
I'm
straighten that
nervous
flow
about-
out.
I'm nervous about that though. I can't have that thing freeze up again. It washes the, it froze up year after year after year after year.
Yeah, just by putting a small kink in it
Yeah,
sometimes.
yeah,
and
just by, if a leaf gets stuck
you
in
get
that
30
pipe.
below out there, and
On
Well,
the exterior?
zero. Yes, oh,
it's hanging in open air.
Yeah.
I don't
So
have
what
any
do
of
you
them.
get a-
No, I
Fast.
mean
Any-
like just
any
a
bend.
small, no, I mean, well,
So
okay,
if
not,
so
it's
if
more of
you
a lip, that
yeah, so
direction,
if
a
you-
directional lip
put something, if
on
you
the
put,
outside.
right, or, yeah, you'd attach it.
Yeah, outside,
Right,
on the
you'd
exterior
attach
of the
it
pipe.
and then there'd be a lip inside. You'd be hitting the lip inside.
No.
I mean, we can look at
Yeah.
it, but, you know, you guys don't have a problem with it, so I'm not looking to spend
We
more
just want
money
the
on it.
erosion to stop.
So,
So
the
just
erosion
the
was
rocks.
always there. The
Well, you say-
erosion was always there. I'll put the rocks back, but the erosion was always there.
What was
I'm not-
eroding? Always.
That's why we always had these little rocks, so I'll just put the rocks back, no big deal. So it always
wasn't
eroded, it
always
always went over to theirs. That's why we had the rocks there, it always went that way, it's just the way the land goes under the water. So it always eroded here, it's not like it's different.
Well, it is, because it's coming out further, so, and it's an immediate,
Well, yeah, the rocks are
Swoosh
missing,
them.
that's why it's not
So we'll
eroding.
put in the rocks and we'll make it look pretty with a nice little like tiered waterfall rocks like that
I
create a
don't
waterfall.
have a preference myself. But
So
and
my
what about the
waterfront
direction
guideline.
of the pipe?
if it's within the 6 feet, you can't really say anything, cause it's maintenance of that pipe, and the other one was more flexible, the clay or terracotta pipe was a lot more flexible, you saw the joints, it's like a snake, had all these joints.
Well, it had sections, so
Yeah,
you could turn it
sections.
whichever way you wanted to go.
Yeah.
This is a long,
That's
straight
the
pipe,
problem, you can't,
so it's not being replaced with a like pipe, right?
well, it's like size and like length.
But it's
And
within
you
that
would
6
never-
You definitely could have put it back where it was.
I don't know, I wasn't there.
So,
But I'm
as
within
far
my
as the
6 feet, so-
direction of the water coming out of the pipe,
I made the
if
suggestion
it's-
of getting a directional insert to straighten it out. But I don't know what kind of things they have. I think that it's gonna stop once you get the rocks there. And you could actually pile the rocks up to direct the water flow
I'm more
the opposite
I'm more
direction.
okay with that. I'm not gonna put an end on that unless you guys force me to,
I
because
w- I
I think
would-
it's gonna cause freezing.
So if
think the
they
rocks
have
could
the
direct it.
rock, yeah,
The rocks are
directional
always there,
rock
the rocks.
stack would probably,
And I'll make it look pretty and.
So
And,
now
and as soon as you're done,
Sure enough.
give Steve Zisk a call,
But
so he can
understand-
take a picture, so that years down the road,
Sure enough. And
If something
understand I
moves.
have to wait till the water's gone.
yes.
So end of October, beginning of November.
they'll be
you can
lower.
put rocks in.
Wanna make sure it stays, you know, and we can direct it the way you guys want it directed.
It's not an issue now because the water's up, so I'm fine with that.
Does it look like this? Yeah, this is now, right?
Is there any
Yeah.
chance
So
that
is there
that
water
pipe could be
in the
shortened
pipe?
up to be the same, come out out of the wall the same
No.
distance as before?
Then it'll be hitting that lip again,
Yeah, I'm not willing to do that.
and that'll be eroding the lip.
It definitely dispersed the water, that's for sure.
Yeah, but I'm not doing
What you
that.
see coming out of there is a little trickle, and when that thing is really ripping in the springtime, that whole tube is full of water, and
I
that's
know.
ripping out of there. That's why it's a problem with my dock and the wall.
So
That's
I
just
should
a little
move-
trickle right now. When that thing really gets going, that thing rips.
This
Yes,
picture, this
mean, that
is
thing is
January
like-
13th.
that pipe is full of water.
Yeah, after a rainstorm, I'll agree. I mean, it flows a little heavy for sure.
Alright, so I think we're good, I think.
So
We have
let's,
a game
let's
plan
try
at
the
least.
rocks. to see if that solves it.
Okay.
And when do you think you'll have those installed by?
It won't be till November probably, cause I
Okay.
wanna make sure it's all, dried up, we can get in
And they're
there,
in
place
place
them
correctly.
proper.
But there's nothing happening at this point,
No,
you're
it's
saying?
all water.
No, can I ask
No.
another question about the dock that's in place right now? Can we get that moved
Yeah, I'll eventually move that day, that's just temporary.
eventually?
Yeah.
So Steve can, so is the dock,
I'll need
is
some
it
time.
your dock?
It is, we just took out an aluminum dock, replaced it with aluminum dock, so.
Where is it?
They're heavy, they take a while, when I get folks, I'll move it, not a problem.
I'll pick it up in one person and carry it right wherever you want. See how it infringes on that area?
Well, infringes on that area might end us somewhere else, Dave, so if we're gonna talk about infringing, that's not here, that's
Well-
in a court of law, so they don't do that here.
Can we not have any conversations back and forth like
Yes,
this,
ma'am.
please? Just stop.
Yes, ma'am.
I have big shoes to fill.
Are you taking over her spot?
Yes.
Good luck.
I mean, if you look at
I
it,
love this job.
I have to,
I know
let me
you
just
love
phone
this
a
job.
friend.
I've been here a
Let me
few
just phone a
times.
friend.
We take this very seriously.
So this is your dock?
the
Which
little one,
Oh, the little one.
Yeah,
Oh,
not the
oh,
wooden
and
one.
Okay.
the long one is ours, and
Yeah.
it seems like it would be put there on purpose, and
It isn't, and the pipe
I believe
wasn't.
Steve already asked to
Don't-
remove it,
Alright.
right?
Keep
Well,
talking
if-
back and forth,
If there's
please.
something,
So this
in
dock is going to be
violation.
removed?
Yes,
should-
absolutely,
yes.
100%,
All
100%.
right, so we're going to end this conversation. She's going to install some rocks in November. If it doesn't work, come back and let us know, and we'll look at maybe an alternative.
Could I please get a time frame on when that dock will be removed? The short dock?
I'm sure it'll be in a couple of weeks, I'm sure I can
We have
get
no
it.
jurisdiction
We
on
have
the
a big
docks.
party
It's
coming
a
up
small
in June.
dock.
We have no jurisdiction over
was this
small
taken?
docks either.
Yesterday.
Oh, you don't have
I would
any
say
jurisdiction
no.
over docks? It'll be
So where's
moved
the
when I
pipe?
feel it.
Temporary
Hidden by the
structures.
dock?
I'm sorry?
From this point of view,
I
where
would
is the
call the
pipe?
building
It's
department.
right underneath the dock.
It's on
It's
the
hidden
dock.
by the dock.
All
So you
right,
don't have any
I'm good.
jurisdiction, but if I asked for a dock, wouldn't I come to this? If I asked for a dock?
Depends on what, if you're
Yeah.
gonna install some kind of permanent dock, you'd need to
Or
get approval.
footings.
Okay, so if I wanted
That,
to
isn't that
install.
one on just legs?
Yeah, it's,
Standing in the
it's
water?
just a temporary thing. But if I wanted to install a dock here, permanent, would I have to get a permit through you
Yes.
folks?
Yes,
Can it be wood, pressure treated?
well, depends on,
Would you guys be okay with that?
Don't we have some, don't we have
Dock
state
guideline.
guidelines on that? The state has guidelines
On
about,
I
I haven't
don't know
seen
what
it, wood
material,
dock.
but they have it on how to the small dock permitting process.
no,
Yeah,
but
we have
I
the-
think there's
we've
also
seen wood at all.
materials as well.
I don't
What
think
did you
pressure
say?
treated.
I think the state has, recommendations regarding materials as well.
Okay.
Cause they're treated with,
Yeah.
that chemical, so
Gooey,
I
gross
don't
stuff, yeah.
believe I've ever seen a wood
so if you
one
want
that
to
we've
put a
permitted.
permanent dock,
It
see
should be-
Steve, and he can look into what's allowed
What I can use.
and the best way to do it.
Okay,
Okay.
all right,
How long it
excellent.
could be, or.
So I just have to get a permit if I wanna put an additional dock?
Permanent.
Well, if it's.
Permanent dock?
If it's a new dock, you
Yeah.
file a notice of intent. If you're repairing or doing maintenance on an existing one, you could file an RDA.
You have to
It's a little-
file an RDA?
If you do a small, the manual on small docks permitting,
Yeah,
I can give you a copy of the section that talks about, if it's a brand new one, they say you have to file an notice of intent.
yeah,
And if it's an existing one, you should file an RDA with the local commission.
okay.
But if you're within a great pond, then, which you are, you might have to go and get
Hold
some
on, I'm
state-
taking notes, Steve, wait a minute.
Yeah, can
All right,
we
well-
just
well,
move this
can you-
on? 'Cause
can
we
you-
wanna go
why don't you
Take
to
this
her
up
after
after the
the
meeting, because this
Sure
wasn't
enough.
really on our agenda. This
Sure
could be
enough.
another half an hour discussion
If he's
and,
talking legalese, I
So,
probably won't
give
catch
Steve
him
a call.
anyway. Yeah,
and come down to see him, or
An
just say, where can I?
RDA?
Just
Okay.
ask him about the docks.
Okay.
All right, so,
Perfect.
if she doesn't have the dock removed in 2 weeks, come back and see us.
Thank you.
Great, thanks for coming in, thank you for all the pictures and
thank you.
your concerns.
all right.
Good luck with the pipe.
Oh,
And
it's,
have a fun summer.
we will, we'll have a great summer. I
Blast.
just wanna,
It's our happy place. Gonna keep
Let's
it
keep it that
happy.
way.
let's keep it that way.
That's good.
All right. Well, thank you guys very much,
you.
Steve, thanks for coming down. Can I ask you guys, do I have to do something additional?
Just don't do anything extra.
Oh, like,
I'm
since
sorry.
I have the
Doing
permit,
additional
I put the
items.
thing,
Yeah, yeah.
do I
You
have to?
get it, this was just an
Steve, do
RDA,
I have
Yeah.
to?
right?
Yes.
So nothing.
So I put the thing in, and I built the walls, is there like a final something, something?
No certificate of compliance,
No.
nothing.
Okay,
But-
so I,
You need to call me when you're in
Doing the
November, when you
rocks.
put the,
yeah, I mean, but for the actual project that was already,
you're all set.
okay, that's what I wanted to make sure.
That's what these.
I have, don't need them. Any further work done to the brook? As far as, you know, changing the brook at all? Should we be getting a letter, notice
Oh,
of
for sure,
intent?
right? Wouldn't I have to say if
RDA.
I was gonna, fix
RDA.
something? Cause we have some rocks tumbling, we talked about it before, we have some rocks tumbling. So, if I wanted to make sure that they stop tumbling in, what would I do?
A request for determination.
Yeah.
RDA?
Same thing that you did.
Okay, and is the RDA the same thing if I wanted a new dock? I mean, if I wanted to fix my dock?
Fixed
No,
dock
dock would
is.
be one, and messing with the pipe would be another.
Alright, so RDA,
You already filed that.
That's what-
the same thing as before?
You filed for this work, it was an
Yes, sir.
RDA, yeah.
Okay, so RDA, and then, if I just wanted to make my dock better, fix it, whatever, what would I have to file?
Or maintenance on it. An
Maintenance,
R-
yeah.
An RDA.
That's an RDA too? So I have to tell my neighbors if I wanna
No.
fix my, what's an RDA?
It's just an ad in the paper.
Oh, it's just an
Request for
ad.
determination.
Determination.
Okay.
Like,
If
Alright.
you want a new dock, it's a notice of intent.
Oh, I
That's what
totally
he said.
misunderstood.
Yeah.
Okay.
Can you just clarify the brook itself? Would that be an RDA
Yeah.
as well?
For maintenance.
Okay.
Okay.
Yep.
Great, thank you
Okay.
guys.
You're
All
welcome.
right.
It was nice chatting with you, good luck with
Thank you.
whatever your new journey is.
Okay.
Thanks, Steve.
good luck, guys.
Thank you.
Sitting in my yard and
Doing nothing.
watching the world go by. All right, so next,
Finding lady slippers in the woods.
let's do those meeting minutes.
Okay.
What,
Mike, you have
what
a
are we,
question?
what is the conclusion of
Brittany,
this
I'm gonna
thing?
miss you so
Well, they're gonna put some
much.
rocks
Yeah,
in.
Be
I
across
I know that,
from
but-
me
And she's gonna
the
notify
last
Steve
4
when it's done in
years.
November, and he's gonna go out and take a picture
There'll be
for.
no
This is
missing
basically
on
a
the side of
discussion item,
things.
really.
Correct.
It was not an
We should have a
RDA or
going
anything.
away party.
No, I don't know why she has it on to 7:30, so.
Next meeting.
Forest walk, yeah.
Okay, what do we wanna know?
About
Minutes.
minutes?
Yes. Well, you wanna take March 5th first?
Yes.
Okay, so we're gonna
Yeah, we
ignore,
kinda looked at those.
Yeah, those ones are good.
which those?
March 5th.
We haven't done them yet. We haven't talked about them.
We haven't approved them. We had a couple of corrections
No,
that we didn't
started
correct.
talking about them and then we switched topics
Why
to
are you
something
getting
else.
mad at me?
Because at that point, I was in the middle of talking about this. Okay, so the missing DEP numbers are no big deal, but my
No.
other thing in there is number 10 on the discussion list.
Number 10, request the certificate of compliance?
Right. And then what?
You mean we didn't
Period.
vote on it?
Well, something happened. We did something.
Okay, request a certificate of compliance, Steve. Anthony Siscione, 283 Southwest Main Street. Did we vote on that? To issue the certificate of compliance, were there any issues?
Or
Was
did we
Sis-
reject it?
No, you did not,
I think he was,
Siscione?
yeah. Pretty sure he withdrew it or something, or he wasn't ready.
right, because he put stuff on the plan, yeah, he withdrew it.
Yeah,
Because he
I'm
put
pretty
stuff-
sure.
I have postponed by applicant.
Yeah.
He had some cockamamie notes on the plan that I recommended, so he
Okay.
didn't have to
What
do
does it say
anything.
there?
Yeah.
So
What's it say in the
postponed by
minutes?
Got it.
applicant.
Just
Okay.
said a
Or
line item
withdrew or
on the
something.
discussion. Mike's wondering what happened.
Yeah, me
Yeah.
too.
Yeah, and it should say postponed by
Yeah.
applicant on the minutes.
All right, so like that. Okay, anything else, Mike?
No.
Okay, do I have a motion to approve as amended?
Yeah, I'll move that we approve the meeting minutes as amended
For
for
March
March 5th.
Okay. Do I have a
Second.
Second, motion been made and seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Great, done, okay. Now, how about March 19th? I have no corrections. That was an easy, short meeting.
No, hold on, let me check my
That was the first meeting with the vehicle club.
Oh, yeah, page 2. First paragraph, the previous negative RDA expired on, that was the whole point. We concluded they never expire, right?
That's right. But at the time, we didn't know it. Because Steve was not there to let us know that they
Oh,
never
so this
expired.
is, okay, it's written, it sounds like, that was a definitive statement.
It was at the time.
Well, you can
The
say
gentleman
so-and-so
said it.
said, so that's a better way to put it, Mike,
Yeah.
is to say, whoever the gentleman was, said that, and that makes it not a definitive
Mhm.
statement of fact,
Which
it
is what
makes
the-
it somebody's thoughts,
Was the
which
impression they were under.
is more accurate.
It says so the applicant states the previous negative RDA expired.
Sounds
Okay,
good.
the applicant.
Who's that games show? Anyway, okay, that was my only.
Okay. Motion or any more corrections?
Everybody okay with that? Okay, I'll move that we accept the meeting minutes as amended for March 19th.
Second.
Motion been made and seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Abstain.
Okay, April 2nd. I think we got those the last meeting.
I've got April 17, and then I've got May 14, that's all I've got here.
This was the next meeting of the vehicle club, where they came in with the engineered information. So, let's see.
Oh, no. All right. Never mind. No comments other than
Okay, I
DEP
make a-
numbers, which were probably not available at the
That's right.
time.
I make a motion to approve, I'm sorry, do I hear a motion? To approve as written.
I'll move to approve as written the meeting minutes for April 17th.
Nope, second. April 2nd.
Excuse me, why did I pick that up?
Weaver,
April 2nd?
yep.
I
That was the,
don't have that one.
all right,
That's why I picked
Tracy?
the wrong one.
Second.
so you're making a motion to approve it
Yes,
Wait, oh, okay.
April 7th.
as written? Okay, and Tracy seconds. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Abstain.
Okay. And then the April 17th. They look good to me.
We didn't see anything, but
So do I hear a motion?
No, I have a comment on
Okay.
page 4, the top of page 4, which is the continuation of 44 Orange Street. I have written in here that we said they
Where's the
needed
Minerva they got?
a construction sequence,
Downhill.
wattles, and not chips.
Oh, which we've already closed. We didn't get the construction sequence.
I think it's on the plan.
Yeah, we have to check on the
Oh.
plan.
And what
watch.
was the other one? Waddles, not chips?
What chips are you
Maybe they
talking
said
about?
chips on the plan.
Oh,
Right.
can you just,
That was the new one,
Which
right?
page are
this
you
is a
on?
different one.
I'm
It's
on the
44
last page,
orange.
yep, top of the last page.
He didn't leave a plan.
Did you get new
Did you get the
plans?
plans? It should be in the file.
The new one?
Yeah, the first one.
Oh,
Didn't you note the revision date too?
I did.
They probably mean not wood chips, because remember, they were gonna clear at the top.
Oh,
And so we
okay.
probably said, he might have asked, can we use the wood
Yeah, and
chips?
you said no.
Okay.
Yeah,
I
so that's what I
wasn't-
commented here, is that that should be in the minutes.
Yeah, I wasn't here.
So can we just add that statement?
Oh, to
Sure.
the minutes?
Mm-hmm, that's all.
But all the work is outside the building company.
Now,
No.
yeah.
So where would you like to have that inserted? At the end?
So here you
Right
have
here.
more detail on the
Oh.
current path improvements as needed. You can add, they need to provide a construction sequence and they need to use wattles, not chips.
This is the old one too.
Okay. Thank you.
Oh, here it is. Let's just see if they did the
Construction
conditions for wetland crossing construction. General conservation notes, wetlands crossing construction sequence.
Yay.
And you wanna see if there was no
What's the
wood
plan date
chips?
on that?
This one is, last revision was 5/20/18.
Just see what their specs are on erosion control.
It's staked straw wattles and silt fence.
Good. Then we're good.
And you have multiple plans of all different dates. So you have three,
So this is-
at least three different revision dates in there.
Okay, and, so we're adding that
Mm-hmm. Sentence.
sentence to the April 17th. So do I have any other corrections? Do we have a motion to approve the April 17th meeting minutes as amended?
So moved.
Second.
Motion been made and seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Abstain.
Okay.
Actually, I did do I'm gonna abstain from voting on the minutes, but I did do the, mulligan, whatever it is.
Oh, yes.
I golfed before I came. Golf.
Okay, and I did not read the May 14th, so
I think
we're
we
going
just got
to
those.
read.
Just got those, right?
Okay, so these are for Maureen. Click on that. Okay, and at the bottom it says future agenda items, proposed rules and regulations for conservation land, just something to think about.
Yeah, when Mike and I have a free time.
Yep. And, I did find a couple of examples online, and they do exist, and Steve has copies, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
So I think that's it. Board, any other questions?
Motion
Steve?
to adjourn.
Motion's been made to adjourn and seconded at 8:25. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much.